This is Dabu7. We have the Army admitting that they are shifting gears and preparing more for urban warfare in mega cities. And you're talking cities here that are going to end up holding billions of people. Already cities out there that hold 10 million people or more are listed as a megacity. There's some 25, and they project here within the next 7-8 years that to hit 40. And that's going to continue to grow. By 2035, they're saying that some cities, certain spots around the globe, could see 1 billion themselves, depending on where it's at. You're looking at populations like China, India, and the mega cities that they are building themselves. This presents a tactical issue in terms of sending teams in and sweeping buildings, going door to door. We've seen that in Iraq, where a lot of the people, once the bombs start to drop, they flee, they move around to different areas. But when you have an area that's so densely populated in a massive city, it presents an issue that they say they really need to start paying attention to, because it's the next level. How do they deal with that? You're going from an Iraq type of situation to a Mogadishu type of situation where the people didn't run anywhere. When that Black Hawk came down, there were, people as far as the eye could see storming that chopper and just consumed them. That is just a crazy amount of people that come out of the woodwork, descending upon any troops. And this is where I always say, your power is in your numbers. The power is in the people. And as confrontation continues around the globe, not just here in the United States, these clashes in the cities, it's going to grow. It's going to become more intense, especially the bigger the city. I think NYC illustrates that pretty good. It's a massive city. It's one of the largest you're going to see here in the United States. And in terms of trying to get a bead on the chaos of what's happening in China with all the people there, we have India, other countries that have massive amounts of people, and these cities continuing to grow. So they're saying they're having to shift their gears. We've witnessed Vigilant Guard here in this country. Jade Helm, for crying out loud, that people wanted to write off because nothing major happened. But that was their training. They were training for things of this nature, going into urban terrain, people's backyards, the whole nine. They did it right there in the open. The second phase that they carried out in 2016 was more underground, so to speak. It was a soft phase where everything was supposed to be established and then put into paper in a review by 2017. Now, what this causes, and speaking of underground, is it causes in these megacities a social class of underground people, a whole social code, their own law, everything that you could think of. And this presents a different issue, a whole different area, having to go down in these subterranean areas where these individuals are living already across the globe. This is going to continue to grow larger and larger. They have to find a way to be able to get inside areas like that to maybe save people, help people, fight enemies. It goes on and on. But the traditional way of sending groups door to door, clearing room to room, there has to be a better way that they can get in and move more smoothly, so to speak, is what they're stating. Now, when speaking of these underground layers and all this other stuff, New York City is very unique because it presents a lot of this. And it brings to mind Tom Clancy's The Division, which is based on a smallpox episode in NYC. But what is key about that is it shows the breakdown of society. And it shows what you have to go through to get by and survive in a massive city, with having to go underground, having to get your basic needs, to get electric backup, fighting rebel gangs in the streets around every corner. Could you imagine that? In a city of this size, all the different turf and territory marked off. Buildings that you try to enter, most of them are going to be boarded up. You're not going to be able to get into. Completely sealed off. You're not even going to be able to get up stairwells because they're going to be completely sealed off. There's going to be different mechanisms and gadgets set up where people have entry into the buildings. And there's going to be a lot of underground stuff. So how do they prepare for all of that, is what they're saying. Like I said, we've witnessed Vigilant Guard, all these other drills. Remember down in Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, where the choppers were coming right down in the city just to hear a couple years ago. They were taking people across the streets, almost like martial law. And it was part of an open drill that they carry out there in the city. They're doing this more and more. And with them stating this, I can't help but think that you're going to see some big-time drills and situations here in the future that are keying in on just this. They have to train for it. Where are they going to do it? They have to do it in a megacity. It's the only way. Almost the only way to train for it is in a megacity, where there is people flowing, where you can present issues and problems. I mean, that's what they're talking about here. How do you deal with that? And that's what I've always said. When it comes down to the people, the power is in your numbers. And it shows right here just that. That is the biggest issue. When there's so many people in a concentrated area, it makes it very, very difficult to get those small teams in and be able to go door to door in those raids, because the environment is completely different. Like I said, instead of going into a place like Iraq, where you have a lot of people that have fled areas, most of the buildings standing only a few stories tall, compared to a megacity where you have 30, 40, 50 stories in some of these buildings. They'd have to be cleared. Are you kidding me? It's a whole different ballgame. And I really do think that Tom Clancy's The Division keys in on what it would be like more than a lot of other things that I've seen kind of depicted out there. And that's talking about resources, the weather, the grid, having food, medicine, depending on people, having weapons, ammunition, the rebel gangs, any other groups and factions that are going to be out in the streets fighting for their own turf, their own survival, anything like that that you encounter. It will be truly a chaotic situation. And these are like mercenary type of tactics they're switching up to here. And we've seen this implemented in countries like Ukraine. So they have gotten real-time training, those mercenaries, those troops, in going in and running a whole elected government out of the country, and then creating the chaos that they did there in the streets. So where it sits now, they're saying that the infrastructure here in this country, they're watching and they're seeing what the cracks are, and the cracks that they see is that this military, and being able to basically control a city, they have to be able to keep up with the population explosion that's happening. Now, Army Chief of Staff General Mark Milley said that the Army has been designed, manned, and trained, and also equipped for the last 241 years to operate primarily in rural areas. So when you're going from these rural areas to the big city, from the outskirts of the big city to mega cities, it's a game changer. And I would expect you could see more big time drills in these big cities from here on out. Now, there is an ongoing military study of these megacities being carried out by NATO. It is the NATO Urbanization Project. It is an experiment where they are conducting war game scenarios to determine the capabilities needed to achieve goals of 3 likely missions that they say will take place by 2035. That is the response to mass migration. That is the number 1. Number 2 is natural disaster. And number 3, inner city turmoil. So those are the 3 big things on their radar in terms of where it's going with these megacities. There's a lot more information here at this link. I will leave it in the description box so you guys can read up on a little bit more of what they're talking about here. But it's interesting to note that the Pentagon even put out a video. There's a whole piece here at this link I'm going to leave where you can watch the Pentagon's video talking about just this. By the year 2025, these megacities, which hold 10 million or more people, there's 25 of them, there's going to be at least 40. and they're going to continue to swell. What was that Pitt movie, Z, where all the people come out like zombies? That's what you're talking about. And I would expect from here on out to see more drills put into motion to deal with just this, and they can only do it in a big city environment like this. So, interesting information and talk from different areas of the military on where they're going with this from here, what they expect, how they expect to conduct training, how things are changing, and what you can expect to see in the big cities from here. This has been Dabu7. Keep your eyes peeled, guys, for all of these drills. Much love.